You're listening to episode 160 of The Secular Buddhist. Welcome to The Secular Buddhist. I'm Ted Meissner. The Secular Buddhist is the official podcast of the Secular Buddhist Association, a grassroots-driven effort to answer the needs of secular teaching and practice for contemporary society. The podcast has interviews and roundtable discussions pertaining to engaged Buddhist training and practice, and the SBA website has show notes for each episode along with resource materials. Though the podcast focuses on core practice from a secular viewpoint, more traditional teachings are welcome and openly discussed. Meditator and mobile application developer Brad Fullmer joins us to speak about his application, Insight Timer. Meditating is not always easy bliss. It can be challenging in a variety of ways. We struggle to step off the powerful locomotive that is our train of thoughts and bring our attention to the present moment. We may find it difficult to observe the very content of those thoughts and of our current mental state. And if, like many of us, we're used to sitting in a chair throughout the day, just being on a cushion can bring up aversion to the discomfort that may arise in our legs and back. Of course, all of these are opportunities for development. It's not about escaping pain, but changing our relationship to it. It's not about finding joy and relaxation. It's about facing reality and changing our reactions to responses. But the fact remains, there are disincentives to practicing even once, let alone every single day. Part of what we're hoping to do with the March and other practice challenges is to encourage one another. We only see progress along the path if we actually take it, instead of just talking about it or thinking, yeah, that's a good idea, I should do some meditation sometime too. Happily, we live in an age when there are digital tools to help us with that encouragement. Brad Fullmer has been meditating since 2004 and has been writing applications for mobile devices since 2008. Brad lives in Petaluma, California, and is also an amateur musician. So, sit back, relax, and have a nice spring blossom tea. And our guest today is Brad Fullmer. Brad, thanks for being here.
Oh, well, it's good to be here, Ted. Thank you.
I'm very excited to be talking with you because we've had a lot of very positive feedback about your app, Insight Timer, for mobile devices, and particularly now during our March practice challenge. So I'm very glad that you're here because I see just today our online community is over 200 people, and I really wanted to thank you for turning on that feature. But let's get started by asking you a little bit about your background. Tell us a bit about yourself.
Okay, well, from a technology point of view, I come from a computer science background. I've been doing computer programming for 20 plus years now. It's just been something that I've always done. And from a Buddhism kind of a perspective, I guess it was around 2004 or 2005. I was living in San Francisco, and I started going to the San Francisco Zen Center, just kind of see what it was all about, and kind of went to a few of their basic intro classes, and where they kind of teach you, okay, well, here's how you sit, and here's what what you do or what you don't do, and so that's how I was introduced to it, and since that time I've basically had a practice, but it's it was kind of here and there and off and on, and that's actually one of the things that has I think been a big help for me with the app, is because I've had a hard time keeping a consistent practice. So I kind of came at the app from that sort of like a perspective. It's like, well, how can this app help or me keep a consistent practice?
Okay, so you're at San Francisco Zen Center and you're finding that you needed something to help with your ongoing practice, just having that consistent reminder. So tell us then about what you decided to, when did you decide to build the app itself?
Well, that's a good question. I guess it was sometime back around 2008. I guess that's around when I got my first iPhone. And, being kind of a geeky guy, when I got, my first iPhone, I thought it was, just about the coolest thing I'd ever seen. I just wanted to write stuff for it, and I wasn't really thinking about any kind of a meditation app at the time. I guess that I had been kind of using the built-in, app to keep track of my time. They have like a timer application that's built into the iPhone, which works. You just put in, I'm going to sit for X amount of minutes, and then at the end you get some kind of a sound. And I guess that just from doing that, it kind of occurred to me, this actually works pretty well, but wouldn't it be nice to have sort of a nicer sound to sort of bring me in and out? More of the kind of thing that you would find, or that I would find if I went to some sort of a Zendo or something. So that was kind of where it all started. Was just thinking that okay, if I had nice bell sounds, would be a pretty nice app. And so it was just the idea of just having a very basic app, that had these nice bells, and that's kind of how it all started. And then, at the time, of course, I never had any idea that it would still be going on, 5 years later, and that, of course, it would turn into this, this kind of a big thing with all these people. It's kind of just, taken on a life of its own.
It has, and it's been really terrific in support for our community, especially with the March Practice Challenge. I gotta say, the two things that I find most appealing that are part of your upgrade in the most recent version is, first off, that we have this non-geographically based community. So we can have this virtual community of people all over the world. And we do, within, I think, the first week of the Secular Buddhist Association group, we had 5 different countries represented and over 200 people now. And I'm just checking as we're recording this, and the other piece that I like is there are 6 people in our group who are meditating right now, and just seeing that there are others who've joined this group who are doing the practice right now is really encouraging. So that's been terrific. So thank you so much for putting that in. What were some of the other things that you wanted to put in there? I know you've got some milestones in there for folks who might not have started using the app yet. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that and how that's encouraging to practice?
Okay, yeah, that's kind of a interesting feature. That is basically it's kind of a way to encourage or to reward people for having a consistent, kind of a practice. So if you can, the idea is that you want to sort of incentivize people to have a consistent practice, and so that's the way that we do it in the app. And basically, the way that it works is for each 10 days, for each 10 consecutive days where you have a session, you get a milestone, which shows up as like a little star in. And the idea is that it gives you something that you can kind of look forward to. And I think that one of the key things about it is that it's really nice to see how there are people in the app that are also getting all of these. So it's not only that you're getting these things for yourself, but you see people that are using the app also getting them, and then that serves as a encouragement for your own practice. And it's a little tricky because I've had people tell me, oh well, that's just sort of an ego thing where, oh, I gotta get all these stars, and and that makes me sort of, a great person. And of course, you have to. I mean, that's certainly something that we have to, kind of look for. But I think that most people see that as just something that they can work with, and but some people just don't like it, and of course, for those people that don't like it, it's something that you can turn off easily enough.
Yeah, yeah. I gotta say, as a counterpoint to some of that pushback that you've heard, is that I like that because we are human. We do like doing things for a Scooby snack, even if it's a virtual Scooby snack, and it's just us. Even if it's our own Scooby snack we're giving ourselves or a virtual one that an app is giving us, it's encouragement to practice every day.
Right.
And the result of that is a very positive thing. So, I'm okay with that really non-harmful encouragement to do the practice, and it's been very helpful to me to make sure that I do my sitting. When we started our January practice challenge, it wasn't just the sense of responsibility to others to support their practice. It was also that, hey, I've got a few days going, I got a good streak here, and I do want to see that going. So it has provided very positive incentive for me. I think it's a very good thing to have in here.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I've actually found that it's helped, me as well. I mean, I didn't really think that it necessarily would, but yeah, if you have your streak going to like 8 days, 9 days, and I mean, you kind of wanna get to that 10-day mark, and
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Now you tell us a little bit about the bell sounds themselves. For folks who aren't real familiar with this, you can set up not only different amounts of time to sit, but you can also set up bells in the middle of that duration. So if you set something for, say, an hour and a half, you can have a bell go off at 40 minutes, and then a minute later, once you do your standing meditation, for 10 minutes, another bell. But what you've done with the tool is that you allow people to choose from several different bells. Where did the bell sounds come from themselves? Did you record those? How did that work?
Yeah, actually, I did. That was sort of what I did before I even wrote any of the code. I just went out and tried to find the best bells that I could, bells that I liked and different kinds of bells, from big bells to little bells, made of different sorts of things. And so once I found these out there, I just kind of went and brought a recording device and got all these sounds, and they actually came out great. And then once I had those, then it was a pretty simple matter to actually build a timer for those bells. Although, when I first wrote the app, it was just basically you had a bell at the start and a bell at the end, and that's pretty much all that I really thought about, because that's all that I really needed. But then, I found that it's quite a common thing for people to want bells, during the middle because they do all sorts of different things, during a single session. And so that was one of the things that went in there pretty early on was being able to set it so that you can have the bells ring at any time during the set, or whatever you're doing. And I've actually found that that I use those now quite a bit. Just to kind of I don't change anything during my sitting, but I like having the bells ring throughout just to kind of keep me on my toes.
Yeah, the thing that I've liked best about it is really two things. First, the bell sound itself. You got some awesome recordings of those, and just the sound of, I have three bells set up at the start of one of my meditations, and it goes with a nice intonation for quite a while, and just listening for that transition point where you no longer hear the sound is in itself very beneficial to drawing one's attention to the present moment. And the other thing that I particularly like about it is that um, as you've got these different bell sounds set up, and they're drawing your focus, and it's helping you with your meditation. The nice thing is, because you can set up the different numbers of times it rings and the different sounds, it can match what we have as, say, the different bells we hear at the start of meditation versus the one we hear during walking meditation, which is really nice. So I've kind of replicated the experience I have at my local Zen center. Is that what you've been seeing with at least your own use or some others that they're kind of replicating what they have in their physical centers?
That's a good question. I hadn't really thought of it in that sense, but I guess that was sort of where the whole idea kind of came from. Is that I had been going to a Zendo, and they used the bells, and I can't remember how many times they would ring it at the start and the end, but that was something that I really liked, and so yeah, it was kind of based on trying to recreate, that, sort of an experience. And it's kind of interesting that you would talk about how you find that when you have the, long kind of fade out, going into like a silence. I actually use that when my sitting ends. I make it a point to kind of have like a strong kind of focus on the bell sound as it makes that, sort of a transition.
Yeah, yeah.
It does really help, keep me, okay, well, I'm here and I'm, right now, and this is what's going on. It really does kind of, keep you in the present moment.
Yeah, that's a big deal. That's something that happens a great deal, particularly early on in our meditation career, that when the bell is rung at the end, particularly if we have, pain in our legs or back or something like that, we're like, oh, thank goodness. And we lose all awareness of the present moment and we're right back into that stream of thought. And by listening to that and maintaining our awareness, our consistency of attention after after the bell rings, when we get up, when we're, re-fluffing the cushions and standing up and starting to move around and keeping that. I think you're right. That helps a great deal, being able to listen to the bell even at the end. Yeah. So you also have something that I like a lot, and because it's fun playing with this a bit, is the presets. Tell us a little bit about the presets, because I've got about 6 of them set up myself.
Well, that's kind of an interesting one because actually I don't use presets. So, but I know that they are sort of, sort of a popular feature. So, I just have a very, kind of a basic sitting where, it doesn't really change that much. So, it's not something that I use, but, I know that a lot of people do have different, types of, of, things that they do, and that allows you to easily switch, between them. So I guess, it's a good thing for some people.
Yeah, it is. I found it very helpful to have the presets for folks who are listening who don't have the app. Is you can pre-configure several different kinds of sittings with different bell sounds, with different lengths of time, with bells in the middle of your sitting. So, I've got a 10-minute one for, in the middle of the day and I'm at work and I just need a few minutes there, or a half hour or an hour and a half with 10-minute walking meditation bells in the middle of it. So if you have a few of these ready to go and I want to sit for half an hour, for example, you go to your presets, you hit a button, and you're good to go. You don't need to fiddle with anything. So if you're looking for some variety in the duration or the kind of meditation that you want to do, the tool can really help with that, which is terrific. Brett, I also wanted you to talk about something, and this is, I think, relatively new, is as you first go into Insight Time and you start up the tool itself, it not only shows you the other people who are meditating who may belong to a group that you belong to, but it also gives you a map worldwide of Google and the count of people who are meditating. Tell us a little bit more about that, because that's also very encouraging when I go on and start the app.
Right. Yeah. No, I think that is one of the things that I really like most about the app, and actually that's been in there for quite a while. Yeah. That was one of the first kind of group things that went in there, and for me it was just a very powerful thing, to see all these people all over the globe, sitting at the same time and kind of united in, I guess, in a certain sense. And yeah, so I really like that part of the app, and I think that it really just gives people a sense that, hey, even though I'm sitting here in my room, I mean I'm kind of part of this worldwide um, thing that's going on, and I think it's a very powerful thing.
Yeah, it really is because that the thing that we're looking for a lot, particularly in a secular community where we don't have a local secular face-to-face group that we can always sit with. This is relatively new on the scene. There aren't a lot of in-person groups out there. Just to be able to see that there are other people meditating, whatever kind of practice they're doing, it's not as relevant to, you know what, there are other people who are interested enough in seeing this kind of thing in their life to do this practice. And right now, they're all over the world doing it. I find that very encouraging, even if it's numbers that compared to world population may be kind of small. I don't really look at that way. I see right now there's 72 people meditating across the world, and it's everywhere in places I really wouldn't expect it. I see a bunch of pin dots in Africa and all over the place. So it's a terrific thing to see in there. So, Brad, one of the other things I wanted to ask is, what are some of the things that you're working on now as updates to the timer? Or I think you mentioned that you were going to have another version of it coming out as well.
Oh, well, I guess that it's, kind of always a work in progress. There's always new things, coming along. I guess that really for the last couple of years, or at least the last year or so anyway, I haven't really been doing much with the timer itself. I mean, because I figure you can pretty much do anything you want with what you have. The thing that really I think is really neat, and the thing that I like to work on is more of the community part of the app. I mean, I think that that's really exciting. Just the way that, I mean, what we have in there right now is, fairly basic, but it's really neat to see all of these people all over the world that, are, kind of coming together, through this app. And to me, that's really exciting. And so I'm looking for other ways or for new ways to, kind of help that and to just, give people the kind of tools that they can use to help, connect, and so I guess that towards that end, one of the things that I've kind of seen, with like the groups feature is that, and I'm not sure if this has gone on in your group or not, but I've seen it in, quite a few groups where people want to sort of set up a group, kind of a meditation where they all sit yeah, just at, kind of a certain time together. And it's kind of tricky, right? Because, people are in, this part of the world and that part of the world. And okay, well, if it's going to be, 4 o'clock here, then what's it going to be over there? It's kind of hard to get people on the same page. So I'm looking into putting some kind of tools into the app that'll just make that a little bit easier, where people can set up a time and they won't have to worry about, time zone conversions and all that stuff. And it's still, I'm not sure exactly what form it's going to take, but I think that that's a very powerful thing as well. You
Yeah,
know?
that will be very helpful. And I know just the message feature within the community has also been very helpful because folks have asked questions about their practice and right away they've had a bunch of folks answering who have either had those same experiences or were aware of what the particular thing this person was looking for. So that's also been very beneficial to community building.
It's been so cool. I mean, I really didn't know how that was going to work out. Because I guess that we've all, been on kind of online communities, and they can kind of, people can be sort of a certain way. People might not say things. I mean, people might, write things that they wouldn't say to someone, and so I
Yeah.
it's just kind of like a different way. And so I wasn't really sure how that would work, but people have been incredible. I mean, it's been so neat to see, what has gone on those group boards. I mean, just, so much help and, concern and compassion. I mean, it's just been incredible.
Yeah, and I'd say the biggest group, I think, by far has been the one for Insight Timer itself. That group has at this point, as of this recording, over 1,400 people in it. So it's terrific to see that taking off, and also there are groups that have physical locations that also have groups that are supporting folks getting together virtually and having their practice. So it's been terrifically supportive.
Right. Yeah. No, that was kind of how the whole, group thing got going. And I kind of wanted to do that because I was part of like a meditation group that I would go to each week. And I guess that we had maybe 4 or 5 people that were part of that group that would use the app. And we all found it to be a very helpful thing to see each other sitting on the app, because it really kind of made you want to sort of kind of keep up your own end of it, because you would see, people in the group that were, doing their sitting. So you're like, okay, well, I want to sit as well. And then
Yeah.
they would see that you were sitting and would kind of grow. And we all found it to be a very, kind of a powerful thing. So, yeah, I mean, I think that people that are in a regular group that meet maybe, once a week, I thought it would be really nice if they could all sort of have a place in the app where they could, sort of see what they're all doing.
Yeah, that's worked out very well. Well, my guest today has been Brad Fullmer, and I've been talking about the tool Insight Timer. I'm going to give folks listening a couple different web addresses, and again, I'll be linking these on the episode page to this episode. The first is insighttimer.com. And the other is Brad's other site, spotlight6.com. Brad, thank you very much for being here. It's been a terrific conversation.
Thank you, Ted. It's been fun.
Thanks for listening. If you'd like to learn more about something you've heard in today's podcast, please come visit the SBA website at secularbuddhism.org. And you'll find an entire webpage devoted to this and every episode. Discussion about this episode can be found on the episode page itself, along with show notes. The music for The Secular Buddhist is used by permission from John Kaizen Neptune's CD, Steps in Time. Additional music is provided courtesy of Monty Levinson of Taihei Shakuhachi and Rodrigo Rodriguez. Their websites are also linked on the SBA site on the About Podcast Music page. Until next time, remember, every moment you have a choice. Make it the best you can. See you next time on The Secular Buddhist.